these are questions for which, with all our knowledge, we have no sure answers.
What do you think?
Episode 192, Zodiac Killer Case, the night before Halloween.
Okay, here's the front of the Riverside City College library building, the quad building. And so here's where the front of the school is. And you can see here's Terracina Drive. And then if you look here, you can kind of see what the rooms look like in the building. And I believe the library was over here at the time. And so you can see it's not a library building. It's a big quad building that has a library in one of the classrooms, and it overflowed into a couple other rooms. And then when Cheri left, she came out here, down here, to her car. And I don't know if her car was like here or if it was over here. And then all this is different because there's a new building there. There used to be a house over here. Here you can see as you move this way to the main street, this way, going down this Terracino Drive. This building right here is all new, and this is where the houses were that are no longer there. And as you keep going, you come up to Magnolia Avenue, and this is a major street that runs through Riverside. And so Cheri probably came down this road, turned right on Terracino Drive, came down here, and either turned right on this little road right here and parked behind those houses, or she parked in front right here. And then she waited until 6 o'clock, the library opening, and then she went through this door right here. And then some of the photographs that are taken are kind of taken from this direction. And you can see the embankment and downhill, and then there's now a practice football field, but that was the real football field, and the scoreboard was right here. And they've added this parking structure. And so it was back in here. There were houses right here. And then there was a back alley back here. And then there's this road right here, Fairfax Avenue. I believe the crime scene address was given as 3692 Terracina Drive. So with a little movie magic, I'll show you first 3680. There's the house there, and then 3692 is that house there to the right, and Cheri was found in between those two houses. And then this arrow is pointing that there was a back alley between those houses, and there were more houses back there that faced Fairfax. And then the other arrow is pointing back there where the alley was between the front houses and the back houses. Okay, I'm going to try to show you the travel time to the college. So there's Cheri Jo Bates' home. And then I'm going to zoom out. And then you can see California Avenue. And then if you drive down California Avenue east, and then turn on Arlington Avenue and head east until you come to Magnolia Avenue, and then you turn northeast and follow that, and you keep following that for a little while, about 5 miles or so, and then you come up to Terracina Drive and the college, and then here is where that quad building is, the library. Cheri Jo Bates was a freshman at Riverside City College on October 30th, 1966. She had graduated from Ramona High School in June, and she was active in high school, and she was a cheerleader at RCC. Apparently, Cheri had a research paper on elections or something to do with government that was due sometime the following week. Also, apparently, the college library was open from 6 o'clock until 9 p.m. that Sunday night for a special session. Cheri left her house sometime between 5 and 5:30 that night. She arrived at the RCC Quad building about 5:40 p.m. and it would have been dark at that time. It just turned dark. Cheri supposedly parked on Teresina Drive in front of the building. She entered the library around the time that everyone else entered the library, and she found 2 or 3 books and checked them out. She went to her VW Bug, placed the books on the passenger front seat. She tried to start her car, but it would not start. Then she left on foot with her killer northeast up the street and into a dirt driveway between 2 houses. Okay, then there's some variations on what happened. First, Cheri might have parked in a different location. She might have parked back by the alley behind the houses. Then she and her killer walked northeast up the back alleyway and then moved between the houses where she was attacked. Second, the time of the attack is in question. The autopsy shows that there was partially digested food in her stomach. That suggests that she died about an hour after leaving her house, which would have been around 6:30. However, there was a scream heard that night, sometime around 10 or afterwards, that places the crime at that time. 4 weeks after Cheri's murder, the killer sent the newspaper and the police this typed confession letter. And I'm going to read just the part about describing the crime, and I'm going to abbreviate it a little.
She went to the slaughter like a lamb. I first pulled the middle wire from the distributor. Then I waited for her in the library and followed her out after about 2 minutes. The battery must have been about dead by then. I then offered to help. She was very willing to talk with me. I told her that my car was down the street and that I would give her a lift home. When we were away from the library walking, I said it was about time.
Then it says,
making her pay for the brush-offs that she had given me during the years prior. She squirmed, da-da-da, and her lips twitched. She let out a scream once, and I kicked her in the head to shut her up. Yes, I did make that call to you also.
Here I want to take a moment to clarify a few things. The VW engine is in the back, and that wasn't a photograph of her actual VW. It's another photograph. And then the photograph of the telephone booth is the one from the Napa, one where the Zodiac called. But you can see in the letter that this guy called also. Then this photograph of the VW Bug is at the police station. This isn't at the college. They must have towed it over to the police station. And then this photograph of the VW Bug with the door open could be at the police station or it could be at the crime scene. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell because it's from a different angle. On Monday morning, Joseph Bates reported his daughter missing to the Riverside Police Department at 5:43 a.m. And then 45 minutes later, a groundskeeper at RCC found Cheri Jo Bates' body. Next to her body was her purse, and several feet away was a wristwatch. Also, they found a shoe print of a type of a shoe that's sold at military outlets, and it was size 8 to 10. And they found drops of blood leading from the site to the street, Terracina Drive. The Riverside police believe Cheri was murdered by a former boyfriend or someone familiar to her because she was stabbed so many times. And it appears that she walked away from her car with the killer. Yet, that doesn't seem to make sense because of the confession letter. He says he is up at night thinking about killing again. He threatens the town. And he supposedly called the Riverside police sometime after the murder, like the Zodiac did after his murders. Next, I wanted to say that this writing on the desktop, the poem that was found by a custodian in the library sometime after the crime, several months, I think 2, I'm convinced that this is the Zodiac Killer. The killer of Cheri Jo Bates and the Zodiac crimes are done by the same person. And this is kind of the proof, because the letter writing on this matches the letter writing on many of the Zodiac letters. Criminal profilers suggest looking at the first crime, because this crime is often close to where the perpetrator lives or works, and his behavior is most revealing because he hasn't had time to perfect his techniques. So that's why I'm focusing on this case. Now, 6 months after the murder of Cheri Jo Bates, there was a large write-up in the local newspaper about the crime. And this little note was mailed to the Press Enterprise, the Riverside Police, and Joseph Bates. And later, the police department determined that this was not written by the killer. So I'm looking for somebody that's older than Cheri Jo Bates, may or may not have known her through her school, but possibly from her neighborhood or her church or something, or didn't know her at all and just picked out a woman to kill that night. But he knew the RCC library, so he attended the junior college before she attended there, or he lived in that neighborhood, because he talks about the alleyways and people there. So what would a Nancy Drew show be without pointing the finger at somebody? So to conclude this episode, this name came to me. Granville D. Kelly, and he lived on 5610 Arlington Avenue, which is only a block or two away from Cheri Jo Bates' house. And he was a police officer during this time. And I'm not sure if he ever moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, so I'll have to look into that. He was born on September 13th, 1937, and he served in the military in the late 1950s. And I also need to find out if he attended RCC. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and let me tell you about the next couple of episodes. The next episode is going to be about the John Bonet case and covering Death of Innocence, written by John and Patsy Ramsey. And then the next Zodiac case will follow up on this episode on suspects of the Riverside killing or the Cheri Jo Bates murder. And then the following Zodiac case will be about Don Chaney and where he was during the murder of Cheri Jo Bates and the murders up north in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'll see you in the next few episodes.